I was reading today that one of the best gifts that I can give you is to encourage you in your spiritual walk rather than practical things. I mean, I could buy you earrings or, sort of, I don't know.
Not that I'm a gift person anyway,
No,
so you know that, don't you? So.
Or sort of material gifts.
Yeah.
Or, take you out for a date, which is all great stuff.
Lovely.
But the biggest gift I can give you is actually loving you by encouraging you in your spiritual walk. No, it's not to say that I'm in any way more elevated spiritually than Mandy. I'm not going to be sort of saying I know it all and you don't.
No.
In fact, sometimes it's more often it's the other way around.
Not at all.
But yeah.
But no, I do feel encouraged actually when you like to listen to. I've found something that's inspired me, and you're willing to listen to it and to discuss it with me. I find so you do actually, without realising it, you do.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't aware that I was.
Yeah. So,
I like to hear you read.
Yes.
But,
Yes.
I'm not so good at reading. That probably comes across sometimes.
So, but no, we like to. I like to share things that I've found, and that's encouraging, isn't it? See, I like also to think of this we call it headship and submission relationship, right, for want of a better word, because this is what is said in Ephesians. I like to think of it as a bit like a dance, and we say this in our book, don't we? We talk about the dance, because when you think, and when I'm talking about dancing, I'm not talking about disco dancing where people dance separately like we used to, but how our parents danced, the ballroom dancing, because as a woman I have to let Kevin lead me round the dance floor. That's actually how it's meant to be, that the man takes the lead, and I have to follow your steps, and I feel Kevin's arm around my waist, but I'm holding on to him, and it's just this lovely feeling. If you watch Strictly Come Dancing, or Stars in Their Eyes, is it? I can't remember the American version of it. You see the man taking the woman round the dance floor, and she has to follow. Because if she went her own way, they'd all fall in a heap on the floor, wouldn't they?
Well, we started to learn to dance many years ago, and the trouble is when you're both learning at the same time, is you're both trying to take control, and it doesn't really.
It doesn't work.
No,
it really doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of you has got to say, right, I'll come under your authority. I'll recognise that one of us has got to make the decision, and in a way, that's how it should be. But there's that element of respect at the same time, isn't there? So that's where, if you like, the arm around the waist is like a form of respect. You're sort of holding me, comforting me, at the same time as showing me which way
guiding you, rather than pushing you around.
Absolutely, yes. And I think that's really lovely. When you think about it like that, you actually feel comforted, and not trodden on.
I think that's quite a good illustration, isn't it?
Yeah. And another one I thought of actually the other day was driving a car. You can't both drive a car, can you? One of you's got to have the hand on the steering wheel, while the other one's the navigator. And I can think of an instance where we were on holiday in Mallorca, I think it was, and we got lost in Palma. Awful city. Doesn't have any signs on the roads, does it? So you don't know where you are. But Kevin is an excellent navigator. So we find that we complement each other, because I'm happy to drive, but I need instructions, because my compass is completely doolally, it doesn't work, whereas his is excellent. So, but I have to totally trust Kevin's navigational skills to make sure that we get to where we need to get to.
Yeah, I just should point out.
But he can't have his hands on the steering wheel. So we've got to go this way, because I say no, because I've got to drive the car. So you've got this relationship.
Yeah, I should point out there was no sat nav in this car, and even if there had been, it wouldn't have been much use, because it was too built up round this way, and all the roads are too close together.
Yeah. So it's if you think of it like that, there are incidences in life that we have to accept that one does this job, the other person that job, and then and you've got to be complementary, haven't you, in order for things to move forward.
Yeah, it's kind of spills over into roles in a marriage.
It does.
Looking at your husband or wife's gifting and working out between you who's best gifted to take on the lead in that role can take a while to work out, but actually once you've kind of got that sorted,
it's easy to accept as well, isn't it, when you recognise your strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Also, it stops any criticism as well.
Yeah, but that can change through different seasons of marriage. One has to adapt to one's different circumstances.
Yeah. So we come right back in a full circle, really, because when we recognise each other's strengths and weaknesses, then that's how we're able then to both submit to Christ's authority. That we both come under His authority, not one is more authoritative than the other between us, because we're both imperfect. We've got to remember that as well.
And I was also reading today, in fact, about it sort of helped me focus in on it. Is reminding myself that you're a daughter of Christ.
Yes.
And
I forget that myself.
And it kind of makes me realise how much more precious Mandy is knowing that.
And it's a privilege, and equally Kevin's a son of Christ,
So I really have to look after her, not just because she's my wife, but because she's, held in that position by God.
Yes.
So.
God's given you that job to do. It's
Okay.
Yeah, a lot to take in, isn't it? So going back to the myth that submission is, being lorded over and doing as you're told. Actually, it's not. It really isn't, is it? It's all about love.
Mm-hmm.
Is it John 14, verse 15? If you love me, obey me. So Jesus said that. So we can only obey if we love. Really, because if you're obeying out of fear, fear really, isn't it? Then you're not really doing it properly. You're doing it reluctantly, and that's another thing we shouldn't be doing. We shouldn't be, doing anything. Well, as a woman, anyways, I should be submitting reluctantly out of fear. No. I should be doing it because I love you. I want to. I'm willingly submitting, and that way it's not only it's better for me. It's easier for me. It's actually easier for you then to do what you have to do because I'm loving you for it.
Yeah, and
I'm accepting you.
Yeah, I think the key word for me with this whole headship and submission thing from a husband's perspective is that I need to do it tenderly. That's really important, that word. I've come to realise how important that word is. The tone of voice.
Oh yeah.
I can sort of ask you to do things rather than demanding.
Yeah.
And there's a very slight different intonation in the voice can make a request sound like a demand. So just asking you for things that need to be done and sort of saying, would you mind, or rather than.
And it also actually gives me then an opportunity to think about how I could do what Kevin's asked me to do. You've given me that sort of that window of using my own brain as well, which is honouring to me.
Yeah.
Whereas if you just told me to do something and how it had to be done, that leaves me no leeway of using my own expression, my own talent, skill, whatever that God's given me. So that can also be very crushing as well. Whereas if you just ask me to do something, you're leaving that open to say, well, how about sort of thing, and I can say, well, yeah, and what if I do it like this? And you go, oh, okay, and then you've got that lovely relationship, that circular relationship again.